Welcome to the Rodcast with Rod Turner, the show all about real estate. We discuss everything that affects asset-backed businesses, investments, and go deep into the details with some of the best in the business.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Rodcast. I am very excited to have our guest in today whose services I've actually been using in my own portfolio for quite a while now, a couple of years I think.
Oh, a good few years actually, yeah, absolutely.
James Pick, welcome to the Rodcast. It's been a long time coming.
It has,
how are you?
I'm great, absolute honour. Thank you for bringing me into this little dark room. Very good, yes. It's really nice to be able to talk a little bit about a bit about how we support your business, but otherwise connection as well, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, James, landlord background and tech enthusiast, and you provide this software called Connection, which I guess we'll kind of get into.
Yeah, so I am kind of a classic corporate background, business consulting, going into corporate. And then on the other side, mostly through my better half, we manage commercials and resis across London. And I always wanted a product, and I always wanted to be able to support the kind of our businesses. I had been heavily involved in kind of corporate operations. How do you manage workflow in big kind of world problems? And we used Salesforce a lot, and I thought, could I take all those concepts and bring it down into smaller organisations?
And so, what is Connection?
Connection. Think of it, so it's a lettings management solution, so there we'll start, but with a really strong flavour around communication. My belief is that every interaction comes from some form of communication, and it's that you want to capture, control, and keep records of, especially as in any form of lettings management. The legislation is getting harder, and we just need to be able to manage.
And also things like audit trails are key, aren't they? And like it's like that whole saying, if it's not written down, it hasn't happened kind of thing. You've got to have some evidence, especially if you've got, I don't know, problematic tenants or maintenance requests or things like that. It's like property management is an operationally heavy business to be in.
Yeah, audits are really interesting because audits are never needed until the day you need them. And you can't even, it's very hard to put a value on your audit, again, until the risk of not having that audit hits you in the face. But anything that we process, whether it's calls, whether it's WhatsApp voice, by any member of your team is then captured within the solution, but in context of what was happening at the time, a broken window, an EPC renewal or something else.
So to give everyone an idea of this, I mean, everyone who manages properties, or even any investors who have management manage their properties, if you're anything like me, you'll absolutely hate the property management side of things. It's probably the worst part of property investment for me, and I try not to be too involved in it. But it's an absolutely integral part of any property investment business, and so I struggled a lot with finding decent software to, one, manage tenancies, and then two, manage all the property related communications that go around it. And there were things that you kind of had to log on and your tenants would log on to, but then I found you had problems with, right, okay, well now I need to contact a contractor to come and fix, I don't know, the broken shower in Acacia Avenue. And then you've got to sort of, so your tenant's logged onto the service to tell you about a problem. You've then had to respond to that tenant on the service, but then you've got to find a contractor who's, I don't know, John, who's 55 and has a Nokia 5210 and that's it, and doesn't have an email or anything like that, and you've got to contact him by carrier pigeon to get him to sort of come to the thing, and then you've got to then go back to the tenant to tell them what's going on. And for me, this is what kind of sold Connection to me, was this communication trail where anyone can kind of communicate to you through email, WhatsApp, text, voice, phone call, and it all comes to a centralised place so that each communication is in chronological order, despite whether you've communicated to the tenant by email, they've responded back by text, and then you've had to phone or WhatsApp John the shower fixer. And that is what was kind of key for me. You can probably explain it in far better way than I just did.
I was just about to say, I just love how you articulate our value proposition. But so we did take a very strong fundamental view at the beginning that said we don't want people logging on to portals. We know the average plumber wants to just get on with his job. He wants to use the tools that he uses every day, whether that's email, WhatsApp, text messaging. And tenants, we're hounded with more and more apps sitting on our phone. Do they really want one more? If they can work through their social, if they can work through just the everyday tools. But then the challenge is, how do you then make sure that's captured? So we integrate on standard communication type tools, WhatsApp, email, text, as you said, voice more recently, and we've done some great stuff with AI on voice, but we'll come on to that maybe. And yet it all comes in, and we immediately then tag it against an issue, a case. We call them cases. And so then when you're coming back, it didn't matter actually who answered, who actually did it. Typically you're finding that by the time we're using our customers, you've got multiple people managing their portfolio, and they could be sitting anywhere in the world. We've got users all over the globe that are managing our customers' businesses. But everything's together in one place on a very clear, single audited result. So you know what you said, you know when you said it, and you know what they said to you.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to use this when a tenant said, oh, this has happened and you as the landlord didn't do X, Y, and Z. And now you can go back and go, well, actually, here's the recording of that conversation that we had, or here is the WhatsApp that was sent to you, or the email, or here is the document that we can see you viewed, etc. And you've got this great, fantastic audit that is really, really simple and quick to get. And the tenant can also then see that, and it just solves problems before they become issues, really, I guess.
Yeah, that's the aim. Ultimately, if you can clearly show that you're keeping strong records, that there's no room for dispute. The dispute then is in what people did rather than what they potentially said.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, I am technologically challenged at the best of times, but for me, what I use Connection for is tenancy management. So I've got all the documents there, making sure that those are communicated in a compliant way to tenants, because part of property management is compliance. It's a huge, huge part. You've got to make sure that your tenancies are compliant, whether that means the right documents are signed and given to the tenants in the right time frames. It's also about kind of reminding you of certain points in time. So, I don't know, 10 months after a rent rise, you want to be issuing a Section 13 for the new rent rise because you've got 2 months notice, inspections, all these kind of things. So that's one part of having it there. Obviously, we've talked about then the communication part as well, but it does more than that, doesn't it? What else does it do?
Yeah, I mean, so if I pick up a few things on there, you talked about e-signature, well, you inferred about signatures, but so one of the things I've always struggled. Cloud is just unbelievable. I mean, cloud technology has made everything accessible. It allows companies like mine to grow. All of our infrastructure sits in the cloud. It sits on Amazon, and as a result, there are many, many tools out there. And if you get to a point, you suddenly realise you're subscribing to 15 different products, all not talking to each other. And we took a view that said, actually, can we be the one solution for lettings management? And if you need e-signature integration, if you need WhatsApp, if you need whatever it is, we'll transparently do that integration. And then we'll... and you just carry on with your day. So hopefully, when you send an e-signature, you send it through Connection. It goes out to a third-party product, which is specifically designed for signatures, so we're not trying to take away best practice, and it's coming back. But yeah, so we try and bring everything together. You ask about what else we do. In that context of end-to-end, we do the finances. So you get your bank feeds, you'll reconcile your rent, and ultimately you'll get to a trial balance or a P&L. But because our accounting is designed for property, it's in the context of property. So what's the profitability of my particular property? What have I spent on it? What have I, and you're not having to do playing around with different accounting methods because we do property. So asset management's really crucial. So we've got a strong view. You've got asset management, you've got tenancy management, and you've got finance, all interlaced with communication.
Fantastic. And then talk to us about AI, because this is the buzzword. And I just remember when you kind of showed me the voice call, and how if I wanted to communicate with someone, I just need to pick up the phone and call them, because often, I don't know, what you can do on a call is 30 seconds versus kind of a day of back and forth texting or emails. So sometimes that is efficient. And then what happened was the voice call was recorded and transcribed and put into the communication, kind of the case file in chronological order of what had happened. And it was just magic.
This has been an absolute step change. It's been huge for our users. So communications, once we started with text message, the journey of the connection evolution is we wanted a text message. Then everybody said, well, can we do WhatsApp? And actually took a while to get to WhatsApp because the APIs weren't strong enough, and there was a whole process of getting proper API-based business WhatsApp. And then we got onto the conversation with the customers and going, well, we've got a lot of our team members are based across the globe, and what happens if somebody dials the number? And so we kind of thought, well, actually, can we manage this? And that took us down the route of communication, and we've effectively built a complete cloud-based telephony solution for the users. But the exciting bit came when AI started coming into fold kind of a year ago with GPT being released. And we kind of thought, well, what can we really do with this voice? Because voice is an inherent issue. If you take voice to court, you can't show it to a judge.
Yep.
And if you want to see and understand what's said, you got to kind of start, and everybody say, oh well, we've got recordings. How many recordings have you ever listened to? They are the lowest form of defence. It's that final bit of audit. I've got a recording of what was said, but actually, unless you physically listen, you've got no idea. So then we started going, well, actually, with these AI models, we can very, very well transcribe them. And so we then started transcribing using a great AI model, a large language model. And the transcriptions are really good these days. So gone are the days of word-for-word transcription. This is contextual transcription. It knows what's being said.
It's the highlights. It's like the last page. It's the back page of the book where you get.
So then the final thing, once we've transcribed it properly, we throw it through another language model, and we summarise. And that summarisation has been a huge change, because at the end of your call, within 60 odd seconds, you're getting a summary of what was said. We outline agreements made, we outline potential areas of dispute, and a high level summary. Now that's fantastic for the case file, but it's actually really good for training of your team. Because what we're finding is that our users will scan down these summaries and go, are our team members saying what they should be saying? Yes, there are so many facets around how that AI has taken that initial phone call. I want to do a lot more. I want to be able to, you're interviewing your tenant and you're picking up things for referencing. And we're going to then ask the AI to physically pick out the bits of the conversation that were actually pertinent to the questions you're asking. And so we're getting a Q&A of exactly what you want. And that goes way beyond property management. Think about filling out an assurance questionnaire, where at the end of the call you've got the actual summary of the form that's been discussed.
Mortgage documents.
Mortgage documents, exactly.
The bane of everyone's lives.
So, I mean, in its real simplicity, I mean, we've got a lot more generative AI stuff going on. But I like this one. This is kind of converting that that lost thing of voice into something really tangible and something really simple. I mean, do you like receiving WhatsApp voice memos?
I detest getting voice notes.
Every WhatsApp voice memo that comes into connection is auto-transcribed, so you actually see what was said. You don't even have to listen to it.
Oh, ideal.
Every WhatsApp video that comes into connection is auto-transcribed. So you're doing a walkthrough of your property and you're effectively dictating what you're seeing. When that's WhatsApped into connection, you're getting a full summary of everything that was then done.
So that must be so useful for inspections.
Absolutely.
I mean, wow.
So we want to take the inspection concept, exactly, pulling that through, cherry picking the elements of the conversation around each individual room, and we can do this with AI. We can, what wasn't available, at least financially wasn't available to us maybe 12 months ago, becomes something readily something that we can play with now.
Wow. The whole reason I love this stuff is it just makes everything so much more efficient. It lessens your time on what may be seen as lower value tasks in a business, or even just tasks that you might not be any good at or want to do, or difficult tasks, and it speeds everything up. It gets you to the end result so much quicker and easier.
Yeah, I'm quite passionate about operational activity, and if we can, as you say, it's just that stuff that has to be done. But if we can convert it into something that's more efficient, something we're working on at the moment, document ingestion. So we get a lot of documents coming in, of course, that come through from maybe a bill from a supplier, maybe an EPC that's come through, maybe an EICR. And with the AI capabilities that are available to us today, we can actually decode what the document is. We can classify it to say what it's saying. And we can actually convert then as it's coming in via email, and we can actually then know that a gas cert is coming to an end on a certain date without even you having to fill it out. So that's our next, that's kind of something we're playing with at the moment. We've got to get the balance right on how we, but document identification, document ingestion, and then actually understanding what it is. And this becomes really powerful for even just GDPR and knowing what personal information you're storing. Somebody sends you a bank statement, of course, you're doing referencing, you get a bank statement, but you need to know you're holding someone's bank statement in your system. But if we can flag it automatically as it comes in, saying this is a bank statement, it's linked to this person, we can then, of course, get rid of it in the right timely way, come the end of the tenancy or otherwise.
Really, really clever stuff. So who should be using this? And who shouldn't be?
Who shouldn't be? You are working a business, so there's your starting point. You are running a property business. You're not running a hobby. I'll start there. You are using more than just yourself. You've gone beyond. You've got multiple team members. Maybe I hate the word VA because there's nothing virtual about an assistant. They work hard and they do an incredible job. But yeah, maybe you've picked up administrators that you're managing. So multiple team members, sizable portfolios, complex. We manage complex quite well. So we do great stuff for temporary accommodation, guaranteed rent type things. Because we integrate the billing into the tenancy, we've got a great way. Temporary accommodation's a great use case where you're potentially charging day rates. You're solely based on occupancy, but it's still at a tenancy level. So it's kind of like hotel billing, but it's retrospective, and at the end of the month, then you've got to bill the council for what's done.
Yeah.
And without getting your rates wrong, without missing any rooms that were used, we've got use cases of customers that would take probably a couple of days getting that right, with many potential areas of problems, and we can get it out within a few minutes now. So it's a massive time saving. So complex businesses, complex property management, scaled beyond the 100, 200 type units. upwards to kind of big housing associations is where is our ultimate goal.
Fantastic. And I don't even know what to say next, because I just think it's so clever the way in which it works.
Yeah.
And almost like sometimes I'm like, this is too clever. my brain can't comprehend how kind of some of this stuff does things. But I mean, I've just found, like I said, like property management is not my passion, but it's just made life a hell of a lot easier, and it keeps you as the investor safe and at arm's length. I have a staff member that uses this, but recently I've been going in to kind of get my head around a bit more of it, and I've just I found myself kind of using it a lot more, because I'm like, wow, this is clever. Okay, this does this. Oh, right, I didn't know about these kind of functions.
You know, there's a very, very hard balance of providing functionality and features, and I shouldn't even be calling it in the terms of functionality and features. I could say what we're trying to achieve, the value propositions. But there's a real hard balance of trying to give more but keeping it simple. And that line, actually, they're both highly competing in reality. But as your portfolio grows, as you get bigger, the things that we can do, then it just fits nicely.
Well, it's more economies of scale.
It becomes
isn't it?
economies, exactly.
Yeah.
So where are we going? I mean, AI changes everything for me. I mean, I spend my day looking at kind of how we can use different elements of AI to make the process better. It's got more accessible to companies like us. Things that, again, only a year ago, the massive investments we would have to do to train models are now available for us to just use on demand. So it's become more accessible for us, which means then with the right innovation and the right ideas, and that's the bit that I kind of enjoy. I like the conversations.
Yeah.
What are your problems? How can we help those problems? Where do I think? I think the document ingestion, for certain. The bot is the thing that will change everything. I want your tenants to be able to ask how to turn the boiler on and get an informed response without you having to get involved. And it's more than decision trees. So that historically it would all be a decision tree. The tenant would say, I've got this problem, and it would take you down to the next question.
Yeah. If then do
that. And that goes away, that transforms completely, and it becomes a far more informed, guided conversation. And so the methods are called RAG, and we're working there to really try and get informed conversations going. Standard operating procedures. How do your team actually do things? Again, if we can get the bot to help guide them down the route. And anything inside the tool. If you can physically say, hey, I've got a new tenant for this, and he starts next week, he's going to be charged that, and we build a tenancy.
Yeah.
It kind of changes things. It's a really interesting one for user experience and user design, because if we are all going down a route where you just do a little bit of free text, there's far less thought has to be on the complexity of your product.
And do you know what, we've actually used AI for contracts. So actually coming up with heads of terms for contracts and things like that, and double checking, have we missed anything here, and putting it into the model, which has been so good for us. It's just saved us a fortune, saved us loads of time, saved in kind of other professional fees. Like, we get solicitors to kind of check it over, but it speeds everything up.
I think the warning sign is
course,
kind of now flashing. No, it's a really important thing, because I think AI and augmented AI, it's going to inform the informed that much more. You can use it extremely well for your contracts, because you've got a really good framework of knowledge yourself, and so you're pushing it, you're prodding it, you're getting stuff out that you wouldn't necessarily know, but conceptually you understand. And I think that is really, really powerful.
Well, I think one of the biggest fall downs for people when dealing with professional services is not knowing the right questions to ask, because
Completely.
like a professional will be an expert in whatever they do, but they can only give information based on the data that they're given. And it's a bit like when you've got a new homeowner and they want to get a rear extension done. They've never done it before. How do they know what to ask of a builder and what to ask of these things? And that goes for any kind of professional service, lawyers, tax, property-specific issues. And I think that's where it can become really, really useful in, like you say, informing you of some of those kind of traps or things to make sure you do right.
Yeah, and I mean, now, and that, for me, that goes back to our education system now. We really need to think about how we can educate our kids to really make use of these kind of tools, so that we're leveling the field, and there's a risk that we're going to have superhumans, super-enabled humans through AI support, and then you're going to have others that haven't been on the journey and not benefiting.
I was thinking about it earlier in terms of kind of back in the day, if you needed something, you get the yellow pages out and you kind of scroll down, right, what do I need? Local plumber or something. Now it's, right, I get on Google and I go and type into Google, right, local plumber around the area, and then, but now this is kind of the next step, isn't it?
It's one step further. I mean, and in every facet of every business. I mean, even in the world of coding, I think it makes me super. My dev team probably hate me for it, but I can get so much more informed for our morning call around what we're trying to achieve. I don't need to know the answer, but it gives me so much more power to be able to kind of prod the right questions. So yeah, I mean, we're getting access to information we were never going to access before. In the good old days, if you had a problem, you'd Google. Now you're...
I love how that's the good old days.
Yeah, it's
the good
terrifying.
old days is Google. That's crazy, isn't it?
Now, but the Google response was out of context. It may have given you an answer, but not in the direct context of your very specific issue. And now when you Google, let's say, we throw it out to the GPT or Gemini or whoever we're using, you're actually going to get a response that's been contextualized. So here is my problem with whatever, with numbers, and it's going to give you a response in the context of those numbers. And it's just, it's wow. It really is. It's transforming, and it's only going to get more. I mean, the thing is that every time I have a conversation on it, something has evolved. I mean,
but it's so fast paced.
Yeah, I mean, only a year ago we were talking about GPT 3.5 just coming out, and nobody really knowing what it was doing. Now they've just announced 4.0, which is a model that will deal with voice, video, and text all in one go, all in real time. I
mean, I can make a feature-length movie using just these things, and it's just bizarre. Like trying to get your head around how it all works is absolutely insane for me. I kind of always step back on the ethical side of where things are going. Are we going to use it right? I hope we are. Do I think? Yes, you can produce a feature-length movie. What that's going to be and how that impacts others, we don't really know. But that shouldn't stop us. Mm-hmm. I think at the moment we need to keep embracing and keep understanding, making the absolute most out of our informed knowledges. There's an element of kind of Terminator and Skynet kind of thing, isn't there?
Yeah, but so there is, and I think it's scarily possible. But it shouldn't stop us. We at our level, there are so many kind of super brains going on. We just need to keep making sure that we use these tools as much as we can to understand and evolve and make the most out of it. And so if I can use the tools that then present them in a contextual way for property managers, so that they're not really having problems, and if that's as simple as a telephony transcript that's been summarized or a document that has been notated, then they're things that will take us forward.
Fantastic. So James, if anyone wants to get some more information on Connection, what do they need to do?
It sounds like you say it far better than me, so they should probably talk to you.
I look forward to the commission check.
No, come to the website, connection.com.
And that's connection with a K.
Connection with a K, there's an X in there as well
I'll
somewhere.
Put a
Probably
link, I'll put
need
a link
to,
in the show notes. Yeah.
Probably need to put something in the show notes. Just ask for a call. Let's happily have a demo. We do complex businesses, so it's not a matter of wanting a quick demo yourself. We want to know about your business. We will talk to you about it, and we'll give you the best guidance to make the most value. I've got this thing that I don't want lots of gym members as subscribers. I want people that are waving the flag and really getting value. So
fantastic.
Look forward to anybody.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming on and helping kind of inform me about what is going on in this world that I'm kind of fairly new to and naive about, I guess.
As ironically we all are, but we will. AI will changes all, and we will hopefully we'll embrace it together.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks for your time.